Hi guys! So the piles are in front of me, so I'm using this mirror to show you. Here's pick 1, pick 2, and pick 3. See, I've already dealt out the piles, and I'm just going to talk to you. I might show you the cards as I talk about them, but take a deep breath and use your own intuition to decide if one of these has a message for you. It will be pick 1, pick 2, and pick 3. This is rose quartz, this is my bag of lapis lazuli, and this is my selenite tower. Okay? And I'll see you at your pile. Okay. I knew that mirror would come in handy someday. I didn't know where to put it on my wall anywhere, and so it was just sitting there, and without a purpose. Okay, so this, pick a card, which you may have already decided, you know, based on the title and choosing when I just showed you, but this is a pick a card about just an overall message, a general message from Spirit. Okay, so I've touched on a lot of different things here in this reading, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, there's a lot of different aspects and pieces. Just going to remove piles 2 and 3 so I can get started. Now the first, you saw the card with the A. This is my answers deck. So at the end you can ask a question, and I will flip this card over and give you an answer. Okay? So don't worry, I'll remind you before it's time, so you won't miss out on that. Just put that over there for now. And these are all the advices, so we're not going to start with those. We're not going to start with what needs to be said. We're not going to start with the people involved or the situation you're in. A little sugar ant on me. We're going to start here. We're going to start by looking at your body. I just asked for these cards to represent something that Spirit wants to tell you about your body, and then your self-care. Okay? So I feel like maybe you're doing something new with the way you take care of your body. Or you need to. Because we've got goodbye to the old, hello to the new. So this is new patterns, new rituals, routines, new self-care, a new product that you might be using. Or maybe you've replaced an old product that you were using with something new. Something along those lines. And this may be something that is passed along to your daughter, or something your daughter advised you about. Okay? It may be that it's something that you wanted when you were a child, your inner feminine really craved for. Maybe you're allowing yourself to play more often. I always think of this daughter as very playful. It's definitely like that you are either inspired by your daughter and trying to be a good example for your daughter. If it's not your daughter, it may be a friend's daughter that's inspired you. Like maybe she's dancing and it's inspired you to start dancing again. Oh yeah, then we have, for the self-care, you got body movement. And you see these little fairies. I kind of think of yoga because of all the different poses that's being shown here. So maybe yoga is a part of your daily practice. And if not, it could be something that you've been thinking about or will consider now. And look, kicking up your heels, dancing. Absolutely implementing dance into your daily ritual. It's something you are already doing. Very likely. If not, it's something you're about to add in. And look, making music. And this is part of your self-care ritual. So if this isn't something that you're already doing, this is Spirit suggesting that you do try these things. Because Spirit knows these will be things that you'll enjoy. Okay? We're going to wait a moment before we look at the high view. Let's look at your creativity. These cards are about your creativity and how you're using your creativity. You are a change maker. So I feel like you're going to invent a new way of doing something, or you have already been doing things a new way. Maybe you're an Aries, maybe you're pioneering a new way. Maybe you just don't feel like doing it the way that doesn't work. You want to be very efficient. And then we've got a light grows brighter only by lighting another. Maybe you're also participating in a class that's creative. Maybe you're making candles. But I get the essence that you may be being creative in a class. You may be even in a dance class. They definitely, if you're not already, they definitely want you to be showing your creativity outwardly. Show others, let others be inspired by your creativity. So if you've been shy about showing what you create, thinking it's not good enough, worried about people critiquing it, you know, art isn't to be critiqued, it's to be appreciated. And so if there's anyone in your life that thinks that they have the right to critique your art, you just like ignore them is my advice. Let them have their view, but keep yours too. You know? Okay. And then I asked for something that you live by, something that's part of the foundation of how you live. I think it's like, it shows me that you would let them have their own view and you would keep yours already. That's part of who you are. You already know that. It says we must reclaim our agenda with a forceful grip. So I think you're not afraid to stand up for yourself when you know it's the right thing to do. When you veered off course or gotten caught up in other people's things, I think you know when it's time to like redirect yourself and bring yourself back down to focus. And I think you're in the habit of awakening with a freshness about your day, ready to greet the day. I think you have a morning ritual that really allows you to look at each day as its new, bright, free, vibrant, joyful potential. I think that you are practiced at staying in the moment. Yeah, you appear to be a very creative soul and easily maybe letting go of things that no longer serve you. Patterns, behaviors, products, and maybe even people. But not that you're being mean or cutting them off or anything like that. You're just kind of vibrating up into where you know you're meant to be. You're creating the change that you want to see, for sure. And you're letting it inspire others along the way. And you are also inspired by others along the way. Specifically, your daughter is coming in big into the kind of middle of this. So I'd be very surprised if you don't have a daughter. If you don't have a daughter, it's a friend's daughter, or it's like your own inner feminine. whether you're male or female. Okay. We're going to look at this encouragement afterwards. Now then I asked to look at what's the situation, what kind of situation are you dealing with in your life? Okay. Just going to put these cards up here. What kind of situation are you dealing with in your life? Something with family. Maybe you've turned things around in a family situation. I feel like you've definitely become very empowered. Know that you are capable of turning things around when needed, of having the strength you need and the ability to go faster when you need to and perform things that you thought you never could. You may not be fully rid of that kind of established way, like you may be just like finishing up that old cycle, but knowing that that's what you're doing. You may have lost a father or a structure. Maybe it's a job or something, but like could have been a father. Some sort of structure. That's what you're letting go of. It's like you've taken the leap of faith. And you're just kind of playing now a lot more. And you're trusting in your angels. You're trusting that you are an earth angel. And you're just doing the next right thing. And the next right thing, and the next right thing. I think you're around some people who don't even know their strength, so I think perhaps that you are inspiring others with this. You're sharing your love amongst family, the people you love, your friends. You're, in awe of the beauty that Earth is, and you're sharing that with others. Perhaps you've even found true love. Very content. A lot of love here and fulfillment. I mean, that's how you're starting your day, so it's a wonderful foundation to build everything else upon. I think that you're like no longer struggling with indecision. Even the people around you maybe have come to their decisions much easier, people who were juggling things before. Yeah, and I think some sort of patriarchy, it could have even been a person, a boss, someone who was just very logical, only using their logic and direct communication, maybe not as much of the empathy and emotion. They've either softened themselves or have left the situation. I think you're working more independently than you were before. Like you're sharing the beauty and love of life with people, but when it comes to your work, maybe it just doesn't even feel like work. Maybe you're not lined up yet with the new people you'll be working with or something like that. Maybe there's someone you'll be working with, but they're working on building their strength right now. someone you love very much, who was undecided for a long time, and who maybe didn't have all the information. And now they have the information and they've made their decision, and you're just celebrating. You're getting ready to join in a way. Yeah, there was some sort of delay. There was a lack of direction, and I'm saying was. Maybe the focus had been on how to make money instead of how to enjoy life and be in the moment and in the flow of life. There was a little bit of stubbornness before you took that jump, before you took the leap. It was like you had a certain vision and a certain formula for how you thought things should be done. You're very passionate about it. I think you have a new vision now that you're very passionate about. Excuse me. Maybe you had known what you were going to do, but you were delaying things to see if there was someone else that was going to come along with you, perhaps. What needs to be said? This might be something that needed to be said to you, or needs to be said to one of these people in your life, but I'm scared. I think that maybe there was some fear, and once you accepted the fear, you were able to move through it. Either you or somebody else in your life needed to accept this fear before they could move through it. And what were they moving towards? Love. This is like what needs to be from the what needs to be said deck, but let's face it, that's just a state of being. So it's kind of more like not trying to convince anyone, not trying to manipulate anyone, not trying to reassure or convince anyone. It was just being love that was the inspiration. You know, being in your own lane, taking good care of you, starting each day how you should. And you recognize the opportunity. More opportunities were in your view because of this way that you were operating. Opportunities for expanding your awareness, for opening your heart, and making money. Okay, next we're going to do the encouragement cards. So the encouragement. When I want it and allow it, I create it. I feel like you know that. These two factors required in the creation of anything are to want it and allow it, or desire and belief. So both need to be present. Usually once people have focused upon problems enough that they have disallowed their well-being and they are seriously ill, they then turn their undivided attention to the illness, thus perpetuating it more. Sometimes doctors can influence your belief in wellness if they have a process or a remedy that they believe will help you. In that case, the two factors that bring about your healing are the same, desire and belief. All you have to do is have desire and belief. And we saw that passion. And maybe it was just like you let go of the place in you that didn't believe that you could do it. And because you were trying to do it within a structure that had already been established. That structure, I think you realized, was just holding you back. The encouragement says, instead of problem-oriented stories, I will tell solution-oriented stories. You changed your story. It is natural that by knowing what you do want, you are able to clarify what you do not want, or what you do want. And there is nothing wrong with identifying a problem before beginning to look for a solution. But many people over time become problem-oriented rather than solution-oriented. And in their examination of the explanation of the problem, they continue the perpetuation of the problem. That which is like unto itself is drawn. So tell the story you want to live, and you will eventually live it. I think you know that. And they're encouraging you because you have been living by that and living that way. It's very obvious here. And then, I am not a victim of the world I see. Yeah, I think you know you create it. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother did to you has not occurred. Now these are very deep. This is from the A Course in Miracles deck. So that's something to meditate on, right? And this is the encouragement. You've let something go that was a burden to you. Maybe you felt limited by it, but in actuality you saw that the obstacle created was something that you created too, like that you wanted to learn something from. Let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. Oh, I hadn't even read that yet. A sense of separation from God is the only lack you really need to correct. Yeah. Even the challenges, even the troubles, even the indecision was all for something. Even the delay. It's very encouraging because they're basically saying you're on the right track here. Okay, now from this higher view, the highest view, I think I saw the Hermes card here. Oh, yeah, that's okay. From the higher level view of the outside of this time, we've got I'm sorry, defenselessness, righting past wrongs, and uprooting. So there is something here about letting go of being wronged. There's somewhere that you had been wronged, and you've either already let go of it, because it was holding you back, or you're about to. That might be the thing that you're cleaning up the rest of. But this is recognizing that that was a reflection of you that somebody was showing you from the highest view here. And then we've got breath of the cosmos. My will to thy will, micromanaging the universe. Yes, I think you've learned the futility of that. I really do. And when you're in this creative space, when you're doing the dancing and flowing and being with music, you're recognizing the possibilities to create new, to not only inspire others, but actually create solutions for issues that were blocking you before. So in that case, the challenges are actually providing you the food, the fertilizer for what you're here to do. So letting go of any of those places where you thought that that wasn't the case, you know? I mean, look at this. It's like new beginnings and a fresh start. Literally, you got this again. That's twice, and the first time we got it, it was what you're doing with your body and the body care. So that was like through patterns there, but this is overall too. You're totally letting go and noticing the opportunity that comes to you because of it. You're trusting life. Go forward fearlessly. This is how your soul feels. This is from that upper view, that highest self view. It's like you're on it. You got it. And then we asked for advice. And here are the advice cards that came. Grace, Swan, appreciate the beauty inside and all around you. So basically just continue what you're still doing, what you've been doing. I am a shining star and I surround myself with people who encourage my brightness. Ah, yes. So say you've been trying to light somebody's candle and it just won't light. Maybe they don't want it to light. Maybe you're going to vibrate out and let them line up with somebody who's more at their level of the growth, you know? You don't have to hold yourself back to stay with people who you originally started the journey with. Okay, it's a difficult part of the journey, I think, of realizing that, you know, all people won't stay with you for all moments of it, especially if you're really nostalgic like me. But it is an important part of the journey, and I understand very well, and you may as well, that like in order to invite the new, you have to make room. So if you are keeping people around you that don't want to see you shine, that keep putting out your candle and never being lit up by it, and it makes you have to relight your candle every time, like it's really just like holding you back at that point, right? So give yourself the space to allow new people in that do want to shine alongside you. I am worthy of more prosperity, and I open my heart and hands to receive it now. And being in that creative mode is receiving. You know, the feminine energy is the receiving mode, and especially if we're not talking about your actual daughter, but your inner feminine. You know, any parts of her that need to be honored in her feelings and her love and her want to play, you know, let that be your priority so that you can make sure she knows she's worthy of this prosperity. Were there anything in childhood, any programming in childhood that would leave you doubting that, and can you love those parts of yourself to get them on board, to open your heart back up and receive what you are worthy of. I love my sense of humor. I find ways to be funny and delightful every day. Your whole life experience, everything you've been through and what you're learning now, and even like say you have a misstep in yoga, like everything is fertile ground for humor. And don't go overboard. It's saying practice moderation. So and that's, you know what that means to you. Take it how you mean it to you. So like maybe it means don't spend every moment of every day exercising and playing your instrument. You know, maybe there are other things that you need to balance out with, right? Conscious uncoupling came in. So these are advices, and if you look up conscious uncoupling, you'll understand that it means if you're leaving behind someone, like maybe that patriarchal figure, that structure, or that man who was more logical, or that masculine energy that was more logical, conscious uncoupling allows you to basically, what it's actually doing is healing the places in you so that it's easier to go apart without that blaming, shaming game and finger pointing and battle. You know, especially for your daughter's sake, if this is the case. Conscious uncoupling, if you search it on YouTube, there are some videos. There's a doctor who's talking about it. There's a free masterclass on it. I highly recommend it. It's so beautiful. It's basically just like the spiritual journey, but specialized to an uncoupling. Wisdom over knowledge. So not what everybody else tells you, and not even necessarily everything that those videos tell you, but what resonates with you as true wisdom, or the wisdom that they've gained. You know, if it resonates with you as true wisdom, then take it. But like, the wisdom is going to be most valuable because that's based on experiences that you have actually been had, whereas knowledge is just something you know. And until you've applied it and used it, you don't really fully have it integrated in you like you do wisdom. Expect the best. Expect the victory. Expect that you will come out of this victoriously, whatever that means to you for the situation. And any challenges, love them. Love the challenges. And I love that. It's like if you understand and know that all this experience, even the hard, challenging things that are disappointing to you, are actually happening for you, then can you love those experiences? You are gaining opportunities for wisdom through them. And Scorpio, know that there's always unseen factors. There's always things under the surface, and that some people are actually operating from their subconscious, right? And especially with the conscious uncoupling, you'll be addressing the things that are below the surface in the subconscious, and that's really important because all the tangles and snares and upsets that happen in this whole process of what you're going through are all going to be things that are pointing to something in the subconscious. So if it triggers you, if it gets you upset and gets your attention that way, it's something to be honored and loved in you. Scorpios can go into the dark and shine a light on something. So it's actually really valuable view to have, to know that we might need to trek through the underworld to find the beauty or the gift in the mud, like the beauty in a challenging situation. It will be found, but probably buried under some uncomfortable feelings that still need to be accepted. Okay, and the last thing we have is that question. We were going to ask a question. So, you know, I have a whole deck of answers. It's my answers deck. And you'll just kind of have to know, since I don't know your question, I can't explain to you. But when I use this deck for myself, I kind of know what they mean, even if I've asked a yes or no question and they give me something else, or if I've asked not a yes or no question and they give me a yes or no. You know, your subconscious fills that in for you. So you'll know what this means when I tell you that the answer is 3 is a crowd. That's what Spirit's saying is the answer to your question. Okay? So if that means that you're realizing, like, that could you make it work out with this person? Maybe there's somebody else involved, you know? That may not be the answer, you know, maybe that isn't the case, but you'll know better. And that was just the first thing that came to mind when I considered what that could possibly mean, okay? So, wow, pick one, pile one. Thank you for spending your time with me. It looks like you're really doing the work. You've really spent the time with yourself. You're really breaking old patterns. You're really doing wonderful things here on the earth. And I am so glad to hear it. I'm happy for you. I'm cheering you on. I honor you. I'm celebrating how far you've come. And I'm thanking you for spending your time with me. And, yeah, I hope to see you next time. Alright. We won't pause or anything. We'll just go to pick number 2. Okay, pick number 2. At the end of this, we're going to ask a question. So I'll remind you, you don't have to be thinking of it the whole time, but this will be the answer to your question from my answers deck. And we'll go over that at the end. First thing we're going to do is we're asking about your body care. And be yourself. It feels like getting grounded, being in your body, and like being with all the parts of yourself, even if there's aches and pains, even if you're tired, even if you feel like you're imperfect in some way and not living up to a standard that somebody else had set for you or something. It's like either you're being encouraged to be yourself in all things and accept yourself and love yourself unconditionally, or you already are doing that. Okay? Yeah, I definitely feel for some of you, you're already doing that. So I don't want to make you feel invalidated when I start saying to do that, okay? I understand how that goes, and it's because this is a general reading, and there's more than one person who will be drawn to this pile. And some of you are getting ready to do that, and some of you are already doing that, okay? Some of you are feeling full and in your power, and some of you are feeling a little bit disempowered, like you may not feel strong enough to do that for yourself, okay? Your self-care, it's talking about the inner child, so I think some of you have been really tending to the inner child, giving her what she needs, spending time with her, talking to her, asking her, and taking the steps that you're shown to move forward, and doing it in full faith and trust and knowing that this is the next step to take. You know, and those of you who are not quite doing that, I think you're gearing up and getting ready to do that. So this was talking about your self-care. So it's wonderful to see that you've been really taking care of that inner child and taking steps forward. You're not stagnant. You're making moves. You know, I think some of you may not even feel empowered enough to make the steps and take the steps, but you're doing it anyway. You're just like watching where you put your foot and making sure, you know, you're steady before you put your weight there. It's great. Next, we're going to look at your creativity. I think you're really using your creative methods and means to match up with people who are like-minded. Maybe through your creation, through your art, or through what you're creating on Earth, maybe through a business, you're being lined up with more like-minded people that you would consider more your star family. People that you came here to create with and play with and be with while you're on Earth. You may even be connecting with them in a creative way. Like maybe you're setting an intention before you go out and you're saying, I'm going to wear this star pin. And anyone else who, you know, wears a star pin or has a star on their clothes or their hat or their shirt, you know, that's a clue or a message for me that that might be someone I want to connect with. You know, maybe you're being really creative in the ways that you're asking the universe to line you up and show you, you know, who your family is. That you're finding them. And it mentions a hide and seek game, so I think maybe you are making a game out of it, making it fun, making it okay if you don't find someone that day, you know? Understanding that sometimes you might think it's someone that's part of your soul family and someone who's going to stick with you, but actually you were just supposed to, you know, interact with them for a short time and then they leave. And make room for the next interaction and the next, you know, part of your family to come. The next thing is, we're talking about the foundation, what you have as a foundation right now already. I feel like you're a worker. You're not afraid to take steps. Like, I feel like you wouldn't stay stagnant even if you wanted to, because maybe it's programmed into you to work, to take steps, to take action. Like if you need something, you're going to have to work for it, kind of thing. And not to just wait for things to be handed to you. Yeah, you're not afraid to put in the work. The next set of cards is a situation that you are currently dealing with. You are being faced with some choices here, I can see. You haven't quite gotten to the victory that you want, right? But you do have like something new that you're doing, you're spending time in. Maybe it's a new project, job, or home. You may still be like, yes, you're taking action, yes, you're taking steps and all that stuff, but also like there's some wishes and dreams that you are having to decide on. Do you pursue them or not? Do you leave behind something that was serving you to a degree in order to pursue something that you have in your mind or you wish for? It's a hard choice, and you're having maybe to emotionally detach in order to make the decision, because it's something you like and love already, but you know that there's something more you want. So I think you're having to detach from emotions in order to make that decision. There are unknown factors about it. Yeah, lots of unknown factors. Like more than one unknown thing that is part of this situation. So that's why it's probably been very hard to make your choice. We've got as above, so below, as below, so above. It has to do with finding people or someone who's more like you. Cause and effect. I feel like in weighing and trying to make your decision, you're trying to weigh all of the potentials. Wow. Gosh, I don't even know what this means. Talleria of Mercury. I'm gonna have to look that up. I hope you'll stick with me while we look this up. Talleria. It's Hermes' winged sandals. It's just a symbol of the Greek messenger god Hermes. They were said to be made by the god Hephaestus of imperishable gold, and they flew the god as swift as any bird. So there may be some sort of travel involved in what you're needing to do when you make this decision. I think you even imagined that part. I think, and it's still like no matter how many times you weigh the cause and effect, there's unknown. There's unknown factors still that are making you feel a little bit disempowered, like I'm not really sure I got this, right? This is affecting your family, living situation, work life, how strong you feel. I think you're very abundant right now. And maybe that's why it's like, why risk this when I'm really abundant right now? Things are going really well. I've got a lot here. But it's because maybe what you have is a little bit on the shallow side, meaning it's all good and you enjoy it and like it and it feels good and it's what you wanted, but also you know there's something deeper. There's some depth that's not being reached with the where you are right now. It's like you haven't quite gotten the victory because there's something missing. And also the ideas that you have where you're trying to make a decision, it's like you don't know the outcome. It's unknown. Wow. And then we've got, oh wow, Rogue. Like you have to go off the beaten path in order to get there. Magnets, something is drawing you to it. Something is trying to pull you towards this other path. Maybe it's your soul wanting more. I mean, if the gods are willing to give you their sandals to fly you there that are made of gold, there must be a reason why you're being led into the unknown. And on the spiritual path, we find that there is a need at some point to let go of the known. And I have a video on my YouTube called Bridging the Gap Between Hope and Faith. And I explained there that faith is a higher vibration than hope, right? Like you could go into this thing hoping for it, but it might be better to go in having faith. Having faith because you're being led there by your soul. I mean, all the time in my experience, I've wanted to know. I want to know the answer. I need to know. I won't do it until I know. And it's like, well, go ahead, have your little baby fit. But like, from a soul level, we already know that you won't go if you know. But we know that you need to go because you need to learn this thing. Right? And remember before when we were talking about your star family, and it's like, well, maybe it'll be that your star family is the next person that you come in contact with, and maybe it won't be. Maybe that person will leave and make room. Like, for some reason here, you're in a situation where you're not allowed to know, but you still need to trust your faith. I think you're being trained into finding your faith in your connection to the highest self. Cheering and spirit. Spirit is cheering you on. So if it's relentless that it won't let you go, it's like something's there. Something is there to be gained. Now let's look at the people involved in this situation. Yeah, like whatever situation you have right now, it's not the ultimate. It's not a solid foundation that you wanted to build on. It's like there's a lot that you still haven't achieved there. Like, yeah, it's that depth of feeling in a way that you're still trying to achieve. But there is a lot that you have already, but you can't help but keep looking at and thinking about the things that you don't have yet that you want. You know, so, I mean, who knows? Maybe the lesson's going to be on why you don't have to do that. Maybe the lesson's going to be that you needed to do that so you'd find this other thing. Like, but you are tending to your garden. You're making money. You're doing what you need to do to secure things for yourself. And you've planted a lot of seeds that are now coming to grow and support you, and you're tending to things as you need to. Maybe you've had the good example. Maybe you have good coworkers that do that with you. There's also someone here that's very much contemplative and meditative and needing to take a rest. There's someone resting here, and it may be you or somebody in your situation. There's maybe even like recuperating from some harsh words that were said. There's somebody here that's very passionate and in her strength, and maybe an inspiring to you, or is you. The Queen of Wands. She's very passionate and very put together. There's some sort of hesitance to take the steps forward. It's like you do take action. You work to get things done. And you're being offered those sandals by Mercury, but something is holding you back also. There's anxiety, there's worry, there's fear. There is depression, maybe. There's nightmares, possibly. You feel a little defensive, overwhelmed. You don't know if you have the inner resources to handle this next part. And there's like this change, and it's a rite of passage. It's requiring you to release some things. It's called baggage. But this going through this transition requires you to release some things. And I think it's things that you've been comfortable, things that you worked to acquire even. So that's why you're at this difficult passage, okay? But I think that you are nurturing yourself. You're being very practical. You're covered financially. So you're doing the right thing by making sure that you're in a position that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay, right? I think that's an important part of, getting ready to take a leap. And then if you have to say, like, the next part is like what needs to be said. And so these are things that either need to be said to you by someone in this situation, or by you to someone in this situation. And we've got, I remember everything. So maybe this is like the remembrance of your soul, right? When you see it. With fresh eyes. So after that rest, after some contemplation, after reassuring yourself that you have it, nurturing yourself, really, nurturing yourself into the place where you feel comfortable to look at things with the fresh eyes and remember what your soul is trying to help you do. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Now we're going to look at things from the soul's level. Wow, very interesting. I feel kind of dizzy. Karmic relationships. Okay, from the soul level, they're reminding you here that sometimes, and that's funny because this has come out now in the reading before this even, it says Orion energy, polarity, soul growth, and conflict. So through having conflict with somebody here, or within yourself, you're realizing there may be a karmic situation. Now, what a karmic relationship is like a soul contract that you have with somebody where you decided, you agreed that you would come into this incarnation and you'd both play a role for each other to work through a karma. Now, a karma is just a looping energy, something that's been looping in the energy body that needs to be understood. And sometimes, in order to get a better view at something, we need to play it out, and we need to play it out with somebody else. So we can either see our own reaction in response to them, or we can be offered their perspective if an actual conversation is going to happen, and you share with each other, you know. But a lot of times you won't get resolution or anything from a karmic relationship because they're just repeating a pattern. They're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. You can pretty much count on that cycle repeating because that's a karmic relationship, and that is what the purpose of it is so you can understand that. And the way we understand something is we notice the pattern of it and then we dissect it. And it looks like you're very good at that. Like, you do like to look at other, like, cause and effect and all the scenarios of a thing. So is there something that you're looking at and finding out from a karmic relationship before you release it to make room for something that your soul is pulling you towards? And then weight of the world. Oh dear. Boundaries. Let it go. It's not yours to carry. Yeah, in a karmic relationship, a lot of times, in myself, I've fallen into this trap where I think I have to save this person. I feel bad. I don't want to leave them behind. But in actuality, they don't want to change. You know, in my situation, they didn't want to change. They didn't. Actually, he pretended he wanted to change for quite many years. He pretended and went along with it and made me think that we were actually getting somewhere. But in the end, when I really stepped back and looked at it, there was nothing about him that was trying to break the pattern. He was just in the pattern, and I needed to accept the pattern. So I feel like, yeah, like taking a moment to separate ourselves from our stuff and other people's stuff is really important in this spiritual journey, in this path to expanding our awareness. Weight of the world is also making me feel like, yeah, just it's not yours to carry. Take the weight of the world off your shoulders. Your responsibility lies in tending to you and your inner child, and that's it. That's totally it. Once you do this, you're going to line up with who you're meant to be with from your soul family. And it may have felt like a hide-and-seek game because you needed to match up with karmic people in order to notice the patterns that were left over from your childhood. That's how you got to see them. Yeah, maybe you haven't spent a lot of time resting and being still and meditating because your foundation says go, go, go. Act. You know, you need to make money. So do it. But this, from this perspective, is saying that's great because you know you're driven, you know your strength, and you know you're not going to fail. Let the weight of the world off your shoulder in this particular instance. Look at it from a different angle while you're resting and being still. Yeah, maybe it's not your garden to tend that you're tending. Okay, Archangel Michael deck is saying energy healing work. So maybe some Reiki. I prefer quantum healing, quantum energy healing. But there's a lot of information out there on it, but this is suggesting that that could help you and that you're capable of it. You know, I feel very strongly that it's not even like that you need to go to someone else. Just learn what it is and then experiment. That's how I did it. Your inner guidance is real and trustworthy, Archangel Michael is saying. Archangel Michael is saying you kind of already know. It's just that there's so many, like, it's like this big decision and weighing all these factors, and it's like some foundational thing that you believed, maybe about carrying other people's burdens and how far you should carry them, how long you should be loyal and committed to certain things, right? Maybe it was like beliefs like that that were holding you back from actually going forward with what you already know. And use your imagination and you'll see the answer. So isn't that interesting? Because it seems like you already do that, but I think you do that from logic. I think that adding an element of imagination to your contemplation is going to let your highest self use your imagination as the tool to show you a vision, which may make you more comfortable going in. But it needs your imagination as the tool, and if you've been very logical and practical your whole life, you may not have given a lot of credit to your imagination, but you actually, it's a tool, so you don't want to cut yourself off from it, especially when your highest self is trying to use it to communicate with you. And then Archangel Michael says, ask Archangel Michael to help you with this situation. He will help you, especially with helping you out of karmic situations. He's really good at that because he can go right into the dark places. He'll show you what it is you need to know. And I have a feeling that you maybe work with Archangel Michael on a regular basis, and maybe that's why he feels okay to say that to you, because I think you're a person who likes to work things out on your own. You're very practical, methodical, planning things out, in control. As I say that, I glance over at the advice cards that are last, and I'll just show you. It says let go of control is one of the advices. So we'll get to that, because first we're going to go to the encouragements. But I just need to adjust myself on my seat and stand up for a second, because these readings are getting really long. So I'll be right back with you. I'm just going to take a drink, and then I'll be right back. Okay. I'm just doing a little Palo Santo, okay? Highly recommend. And as I was doing it, I was thinking this may be some good advice for you, because this helps move dense energy. Something else that helped me a lot earlier on in my journey was frankincense. The essential oil called frankincense really helps move dense energy, and I would put it on my solar plexus, because it looks like you're trying to act in a way that's like your mind might not let you, because your mind likes to know, and your mind is run by your ego a lot of times, and your ego's been trying to protect you from certain things, and you're trying to go into those things. Like, your mind's trying to protect you from things that happened in childhood, so it's basically orchestrated your whole entire life to avoid certain situations. But your soul wants you to delve into these situations. First, alchemize that energy that's been looping in you that you've been trying to avoid feeling, because anytime a feeling gets interrupted, it's going to stay in your energy body, and your immune system will always want you to rectify that. So it will always bring up a new situation for you to feel it and see it again, or avoid it again. So you get in this vicious cycle of suppressing and denying your own emotions, and the things that we do to do that can be things like addictions, you know, or avoidance, or being busy, or sleeping, or eating, or, you know, whatever it may be. For different people, it's different stuff, right? Okay. Encouragements. My achievement of joy is my achievement of success. Oh. Yeah, I tend to feel like you feel that already, right? You have already achieved so much. and there was just this little piece missing, and you knew it was missing, and it was like, and this is like acknowledging, yeah, it's encouraging you, that's true. The idea of success for most people revolves around money or the acquisition of property or other possessions. But we consider a state of joy to be the greatest achievement of success. And while the attainment of money and wonderful possessions certainly can enhance your state of joy, the achievement of a good feeling physical body is by far the greatest factor for maintaining a continuing state of joy and well-being. And so there are few things of greater value than the achievement of a good feeling body. I can tell you for a fact from experience that karmic relationships can put a drain on your body's resources as well, especially if you stay too long in the situation. And what was the other thing that came during that? Oh, achieving the joy that your soul, achieving what your soul wants you to experience is going to allow you to be in that joy, because then, now the soul is not trying to constantly tap on you and say, hey, there's more you needed to do, right? If you're all constantly taking the steps forward that it wants you to do because you're in full contact and trust with it, you're able to you're no longer having to be distracted from your joy, from being in your joy. The law of attraction responds to thoughts, not realities. So what comes to mind for this is like, you're not going to see the results right away. First, you're going to change the story you tell yourself. Okay? The law of attraction is responding to your thought, not to your current reality. When you change the thought, your reality must follow suit. If things are going well for you, then focusing upon what is happening now will cause the well-being to continue. But if there are things happening now that are not pleasing, you must find a way of taking your attention away from those unwanted things. You have the ability to quickly change your patterns of thought and eventually your life experience. So once you make the choice to change your thought, like, you can't just do it for one day and expect your life to change. There's a momentum with the thoughts you used to think. And it may have to run itself out into the reality before you start seeing the new thoughts come as your reality. So it's important to, use all this strength that you know you have to act without much results for a long time, to change the story and think the better feeling thoughts until that becomes your reality. Tell the new story. Do it with your imagination, right? And then these are from the A Course in Miracles deck, so these can be quite something to meditate on. The past is over. It can touch me not. So this is about letting things go, like the things that your child experienced, your inner child, and that your ego has been trying to protect you from ever feeling again. It's just an encouragement to let yourself know, like maybe even retraining your ego by telling it over and over again every time it needs to know, the past, it's over, it cannot touch, can touch me not. All of your past, except its beauty, is gone, and nothing is left but a blessing. Yeah, for every challenge, for every lesson, there was something that you learned. There is something beautiful that came of it. And can you redirect your thought to find those things instead of reliving the challenge and the trouble and the part that you want to avoid over and over again? All you need to do is love the part of yourself that wants to avoid those feelings, and that will free up the energy and allow you to see the blessing in it. First, you have to accept and love the part of you that experienced the other thing. And then you can see the blessing in it. It has to be in that order. Okay. The next part is some advice. We know the otter, surrender, let go of control. So this is something that Scorpios have to get good at, because Scorpios like to control everything, because Scorpios have a lot to control because they see the darkness everywhere. And so it's like one of the earliest lessons that a Scorpio encounters is the art of surrender. Because you really get stuck when you try to change things in hell. That's what Scorpio is, the underworld. So it's the darkness. And if you are trying to change what exists, what already happened, it already happened. You can't change it. So the only thing left to do is accept it. That's surrendering to it, right? So if your soul is trying to take you on a path and you don't want to go on that path, what can you do? Fight your own soul, your whole incarnation, or surrender? And take a chance that your soul has something better in mind for you that you didn't even know you wanted. Okay, other advices include, I love living in organized beauty. So appreciating the places where you've already organized, and maybe spending some time organizing your home and your car and your time for yourself, your time to rest, your time to meditate. Build that all into the structure that you have that is your life. I let go of all I no longer love, need, or use. I adore space. So in order to welcome in this new thing that you're trying to achieve, the victory, you need to make room for it. So you're needing to let go of some things. Make the space for this new. I honor my sensuality by exploring sights, sounds, scents, and textures that make me feel alive and connected to my body. Yeah, in that beginning we had a lot of talk about being yourself, being in your body, being with all the things you feel and think, and I feel like that is a big thing here. It's like maybe really getting in touch with your body, slowing yourself down, like feeling textures, like, oh, that's very soft, you know, like I like textures. I like my little like blankets that are like, I don't know what the material is. They're cotton and they're woven cotton blankets are my favorite, and I just feel them. And like when I go to sleep, I know I'm a full grown adult and everything, but like I put that next to my cheek and stuff because I like this texture. So find the things that you like and indulge in them more. Make each day count. Yeah, see, you get into these cycles when you're in the karmic relationship. We talked about it looping over and over again, and you're seeing the pattern. And it's like, you can decide, do you want to do that pattern another day? And you will until you're ready, right? But make each day count. Like, if you're not going to break the pattern that day, what are you doing to prepare? Are you letting go of something so that you can prepare for it? Just take steps each day. Each day counts, even if it's a day of rest. Balance. So that means accepting both sides of a thing exists. Considering both sides, and I think that that's something you do anyway. Weakness scan. Okay, so one thing when we're going forward, when we're taking that leap, one of the things that helps is know your strengths and know your weaknesses. And we all have them. Every single one of us has things that we're good at and things that we're not good at. And the things that are our weaknesses are things that we can work on. But it certainly makes sense to know what they are, so that when we're faced with a situation, our ego doesn't get us in trouble tripping over ourselves pretending that we know. Like, be who you are. You are a person who has a lot of great things that you know how to do great, and a few things that you maybe have room to grow on. Like, know what they are, so that say you are faced with something that you know you're weak on, that you don't just jump into something where you weren't prepared for it. Like, know that you're going into something where you have a weakness, and be okay with that. Know, oh, well, this might be the place that I need to learn, so maybe I am being led here for a purpose, so I can learn what that weakness is and learn some ways that I want to strengthen myself, right? It's just like taking back your power from the inner child, maybe, that thinks it's too dangerous to make a mistake. Don't admit wronging, because you're going to get ridiculed. You're going to get punished. Like a lot of our inner child feels that way, like it's too dangerous to make a mistake, but it's not true. We know in our logical sense that we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses. It makes sense to know what ours are. Fifth house, self-expression, creative expression, romance, children, family. Valuing these things. self-expression is a big one. Create the win-win-win. So even with that karmic situation, even when you have to let go, it's like creating the win-win-win means I win, you win, we all win. You know, if you have to sacrifice yourself to be putting the weight of the world on your shoulders, everybody's not winning. But if you have to break away from somebody who was putting their weight on you so that they can learn that they have the strength to do it themselves too, they win, you win, we all win. You know? Us taking on power struggles of victim-savior mode disempowers somebody. Somebody is not as powerful anymore when we are the source of their power, or vice versa. If we get all our worth and value from other people thinking we're great, I mean, it's not real. It can be taken away at any moment when they change their mind. That's not our real value. Our real value is what we know we're good at and what we know we're not good at and working on. And the fact that we know that we're not good at something and that we can work on it. That's where our real value is. And no one can take that away from us. We have been given that because we're given life. This is our playground. We get to learn here. And as long as we create the win-win-win, then what we are creating doesn't suffer to lose out later. Like, it's not going to be ripped away from you as a lesson later, as long as everybody wins. So taking on other people's burdens does not allow anyone to win. You know, people can take on their own burdens. People can learn their own lessons. People can figure out their own suffering and still be winning. In fact, how can we deny that that wouldn't be winning? The best thing we can do for others is to just be the example of somebody who is taking on responsibility and traversing those difficult things, right? And if you can't do that because you've got somebody else's weight on your back, then no one's winning. It's a disempowered situation. Add love. Oh my gosh, and look at this. Balance out your masculine and feminine. So yes, you can be controlled in some manner, but that should be used for the purpose of making a container, a safe container for you to express in. A safe container for you to appreciate beauty and love in. A safe container for you to make money in. One that doesn't involve somebody losing out. Using your force and will toward love. That's the thing that you're missing, I think, in your whole equation. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's there, but in ways that you don't really realize. It's there in the way that you're being pushed to achieve more and pushed and challenged out of a comfort zone and things like that. Okay? I mean, this is so beautiful. Balancing masculine and feminine energies within you. We all have both. Whether you're male or female, you have both masculine and feminine energy. You have both the will and the drive and the love and the beauty and the femininity. You have them both. You have to have femininity if you're masculine to receive love. You have to have structure and definition when you're feminine so that you are not going to take the weight of the world on your shoulders. Okay, you have the boundary. You say, this is what I know I can handle. Okay? Now we're going to go to that answer card. So there was a question. If you have a question, you can take a moment, take a deep breath. You can pause if you need to. Think of your question. And this deck, it's a whole deck of answers. And so you kind of have to decide what this answer means to you. Okay, so you're asking the question, and some of the answer, you know, it may need a yes or no answer and you might not get that. It may be a yes or no question and you might not get a yes or no answer. You're going to have to decide what your highest self is trying to let you know through this answer that you receive, depending on what your question is. So you know that, okay? And the answer is make money. I feel like the question might have been, why is this karmic partner in your life? What's been leading you so far? What's been holding you back? Anyway, you decide if any of those resonate with you. You'll know better than me because you know what question you asked, okay? I really want to thank you for spending your time with me, and thank you for taking these steps. What a beautiful, beautiful reading. And it's really encouraging for me to see this process that you're going through, this thing that I can kind of relate to a lot, it seems. A lot of the same lessons that I had to learn and go through, although I was not nearly as much of a go-getter as you are. But I think I've become that through my process of being disempowered and being re-empowered, and I feel like you've been empowered the whole time maybe, and now you're having to delve into places where you felt like it was a weakness to be in there. You know? It's like, well, just acknowledge and accept that and then still go. You know? If you want to. Alright, thank you for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. And maybe we'll see you next time. Okay, pile number 3. Pile number 3. Pile number 3. Okay, at the end of this, we are going to ask a question, and we'll give you the answer. And we actually got 2 answer cards, but I'm going to stick them over here. And we're going to look at those last, okay? And I'll remind you, so you don't have to worry about it the whole time, okay? And we're going to start here in the reading with what taking care of your body looks like for you right now. And we've got affirmations and vegetarian. So maybe you're eating a vegetarian diet. These are either things that you're already doing or things that you're about to do. So different people are at different stages, and this is a general reading. So you have to take it from where you are. You're either like, this is energy that's just happened or about to happen, okay? So I feel like you have adopted a new way of eating or about to. And I think you're really talking nicer to yourself than you ever had before. Yeah, like you're not beating yourself up for the way you look. You're accepting how you are. You're accepting that your body has challenges. You're accepting that what your body can and cannot do for you, and you're taking good care of it. You're you know, it may not be that it's a vegetarian diet, but just a new way of eating. You know, that you're trying something different. Maybe you've cut something out or added something in that you know will be beneficial for you, for your health. So this is a very good sign, and a very good way to take care of yourself. And it's saying it will strengthen your manifestation abilities, so that's interesting. It's like you build up the belief in yourself and knowing that you can accomplish what you want to. And maybe this is even for fitness as well. Now we're looking at body care specifically, and we've got raising your standards and letting go. I think, yeah, you've let go of some old habits of being sedentary, maybe. Like maybe you've picked up an exercise regimen. You've raised your standards on your own self. You've decided that you're going to break some old patterns. And you've already been doing that, you know, or you're about to. Or you're in the process of doing it, of like figuring out what works for you through this, like trying one thing in your diet, then, you know, seeing if it works out or whatever. And then like letting it go if that's the thing that doesn't work for you. Yeah. Next we're looking at your creativity. You got the ancestor card, and I feel like this is like talking about the skill that you have that's been passed down through generations. I've like, what comes to mind is witch or shaman. Maybe you're an artist, maybe your whole family is very creative. Maybe you have a special connection to the moon or astrology, the stars, the Milky Way, the galaxy. Spiritual path. Maybe you come from a long line of spiritual people. And what's been taught to you has been passed down through the generations. And maybe you're even being more creative with it than the generations before you. You're bringing it to a whole new level. Yeah. You're adding in your own flair to something that your ancestors have always done. Like, what's coming to mind is even, like, maybe the way you can things. Like, you know, it could be something very practical even. And it's something about the way you handle a certain challenge, too. Like, if it was canning, maybe it was that before they needed to do it, and now you do it in a way that's, like, you add love or something. You know... You make it just even more, even that much more. You add yourself into it. The next thing we're looking at is something that is there in your foundation. Something that constitutes your foundation. Learning from your mistakes. It's like eye on the prize. I think you don't dwell on the past. You move forward. You move through fear. You know that fear is just there to hold you back. And you prefer to be free. You remember times that you let fear hold you back from getting what you wanted and you missed out. And now... you don't let that happen. You go eye on the prize and just set your course. And you know that that's the way you're going to become great. Like, maybe that's the way your forefathers did it. Yeah, I think that you're very driven towards not being held back and towards freedom. Okay, now we're going to look at a situation that you're dealing with in your life. Yeah, you're really good at letting go, I think. You're just like, whew, doesn't serve me, whew. You know, King of Swords kind of energy. I don't know why it's the king and not queen, but... let's see. You're very detail-oriented, maybe Virgo energy. Like, you can make it happen with very little bit of resources. You are attention to detail. You'll focus. More things about focus. Yeah, you don't even bother with the things that are no good for you. You're just, like, focused. You know that what you focus on matters. Yeah. Practical, though, and like, I feel like it says juggling resources, waiting on results. So... maybe a little bit of emotional dependency. It could be, you know, not your own. Let's see. Yeah, there was definitely a missed opportunity that you're aware of, I think. Masculine and feminine. There's something unknown in the situation, but we also got the law of gender, which means, you know, everything has a masculine and feminine. Maybe there's the feminine side of you is a little bit emotionally dependent, and that has maybe made you miss out while you've been, like, people pleasing or serving others too much. Just like focused on serving others to get your recognition, perhaps. I feel like you felt like you were maybe focused on the wrong things at some point and you missed out on something because of fear. So maybe that's why you adjusted your foundation here. You do have an ally. And I think you're your ally. I think you are your ally. I think it's like, yeah, that focus is your ally. Your ancestors are your ally. You know that there's something out there working with you. You know you're being led right through some chaos. Meaning chaos is the place of creation, right? New things come out of chaos. So You had to let some things go. Some things ended. Some things were lost. I think empathy... the want to be together and having empathy for another may have caused you to miss an opportunity. We got medicine. This is the green medicine. It's cannabis, usually. There could be another kind if you don't use that. If you are a vegetarian, you know, it fits right in. I think it's a very good medicine, but maybe it's just acknowledging this, like, is part of your current situation. Maybe it's something that you're letting go of. Maybe you've been letting go of it and now you're waiting on results. You've been trying to build something, for sure. Paying attention to the details, just waiting for it to come together. And maybe even dependent on it coming together emotionally. Oh, yeah, because I was just brought to this, my guides showed me how I used to take a fit when things didn't go my way. I would just be like, fine, forget it, I don't want to do any of this, you know. It was just like the little baby part of me who needed my love. So I eventually loved her and then got to stop taking the fits. But like maybe there's like a part of you like that. That's like really wants your way. And maybe that's what's causing the chaos and like... Okay, so maybe it's not wrong what you're going for and building and doing. It's just like maybe it's like the reason that you're doing it is from an emotional need. And maybe the emotion needs to be dealt with directly. Okay, let's look at who the people are involved in this situation. Who are the people involved in this? It could be you, but maybe like a spiritual woman who's not quite content with waiting, who has just seen something from a different view. Maybe you're waiting, or you just saw something from a different perspective. This want and need, or someone shining their light. Maybe you are ready to just shine your light and be who you are. Maybe this is like this ancestral thing where you're being creative even. You want people to know that you've raised your standards, but there is somebody here inspiring you, I think, shining their light. And there's also a need to, or somebody who's taking their time tucked away, alone, the hermit, in contemplation, being with themselves, being with their ancestors, away from the spotlight. There's somebody here that's away from the spotlight who's not showing and shining their light, and there's someone who is shining their light. Maybe this is the two sides of you. I think there might be a conflict between the masculine and feminine side of you. One wants to go, and one doesn't want to do that. I think that's the part of you that needs to still deal with that, like, emotional part of you that needs your love. Yeah, there's a little something in your shadow, that's all. And you've been a little reluctant and fearful to see it. That's why you put your eye on the prize. Because any fear, you're just kind of like, shoo, shoo, no, fear, that's fear. I'm focused on this. And that's great. That's a wonderful attitude to have, and we should all know that we are able to do that. But when there's something coming up from the shadow, and you keep having that feeling of trying to release the resistance of it, maybe it's a clue that you might want to look at it, actually be with it. Once you can acknowledge validate, accept, and love whatever that feeling is that keeps trying to arise in you. You won't have to keep running away from it, and it won't keep causing chaos in your life. And yeah, there's been like a lack of progress. I think you really feel that. You're either procrastinating yourself or learning from failure. And also maybe you have felt a lack of inspiration and also financial stability. Yeah, that's why you've been juggling the resources. It's like you don't feel like there's quite enough to go around. That is probably the ancestral inheritance, the shadow. Part of the shadow is that you do you know that you deserve it? Do you know that you're worthy? Do you know that what you have to offer is desirable and needed and worth shining a light on? Are you both giving and receiving? You know, if you're a giver, and you never let yourself receive, then you're closed off to your abundance. If you only receive and you don't feel like you have anything to give, start giving something, like acts of kindness. Like make sure you're keeping the flow going of that energy, right? And there's some sort of inner talk that's a bit negative, like, yeah, there's just a little part of you that feels a little victimized and maybe not worthy, and it's maybe not even, like, it may be passed along to you from your ancestry, because ancestors are here in this, and you are trying to improve upon what they've given you. So that would be a way that you improve upon what they've given you, when you alchemize the old family habit of struggle. Yeah, like you can't practice and focus your way out of this. It really needs presence. And maybe you are just taking yourself out of commission to look at things, and out of the spotlight to look at things for this reason. So it's very good. Things that need to be said. So this could be things that need to be said to people in this reading, or things that need to be said to you from those people, but I forgot. Then we got feminine. And we talked about both energies being present, and I think that it's your feminine energy that needs some more attention, and the feminine is the receiving. The feminine is the creative. So maybe you feel blocked in and backed into a corner with what your ancestry is, but it could be just patterns that are awaiting your love. Like literally nothing is unlovable. The way you've been talking nice to your body is the way you need to talk nice to your mind and your soul and your being. The wrong turns were not wrong. Like you learned something from them. The delays are not wrong. The losses are not wrong. The things you have to let go of are not wrong. The missed opportunity, not wrong. All part of this process of learning. So if you feel like it's wrong, love the part of you, accept that it happened, and love the part of you that felt it. Because then you don't have to spend all that energy just trying to like forge forward without being blocked, you know? It's like now it's just like you're in the flow, and the flow takes you forward. That feminine energy, you're receiving the inspiration, you feel good while you're doing it. You're taking the step forward into the light, you know? Through the light, through the feminine. Yeah, keep it simple is the other thing that needs to be said. You may have been complicating things because that's what humans do sometimes. Yeah, with paying attention to all that detail. Just simplify things for yourself. Even with your resources, what is it that you really need? What don't you need? Can you get some assistance? Are there some helping hands? Is there someone else that can, or an organization that can work together with you on these things? Let's look at some encouragements. No, first we're going to look at the higher view. The higher view from the soul. Trust the timing. It says, trust the wave you came in on. Time is not running out. Yeah. So if you feel like you're having to backtrack a little bit, you're just going to pick up a little piece of your soul that needed your love. Nothing's gone wrong here. It's all fine. Then you've got, your life is a canvas. Artist manifestation, creative accountability. Meaning you created this obstacle that you're in now, so there is a reason for it. There is a reason you missed the opportunity. You wanted to learn something from it. So let's take a moment in that contemplative state that you're in, or you're about to be in, and take a look at, what did you want to create out of this? Now, this is something your ancestors have already experienced over and over again, very likely. That's why it was passed on to you, and you're just the cycle breaker. You're just the one that gets inspired by it instead of bogged down by it. Because you know your worth, and you're very brave, and you're very strong, you're very driven. Yeah. Then Archangel Michael deck says self-respect. Yeah, are you keeping things in your life that disrespect you? Is there something here that, like telling yourself that story that you messed up, or you missed the opportunity, or you did it wrong, it's like those negative thoughts, those not trusting yourself, thinking that you have done it wrong or you failed. It's like, no. You're learning, you're growing, you're figuring things out exactly how your soul should. You're breaking an ancestral pattern that's gone on for generations. The momentum of that pattern is pretty heavy, and you would have no motivation to break out of that pattern had you not experienced it first. So it's all perfect. Now respect that. Respect that you're the one that came to break it. He says, Dear God and angels, thank you for helping me see myself as you see me. Through the cycles, through the eyes of love, thank you for honoring and respecting me. Please guide me to do the same for myself and grant me the courage to speak up on my own behalf. I ask for your protection in all my relationships so that I am surrounded by loving and kind people. Yeah. This card usually does tell me that there are some people that you may be letting go of, some cycles that you're ending, where you're just not gonna live that anymore. Yeah. I mean, we've had it all throughout the reading. Maybe the things will just slip out of your hand once you adjust your vibration, right? Maybe they'll leave on their own accord, but all you have to do is let go when they go. Not talk to yourself about you did it wrong or you messed up or what are the risks, and not letting people be emotionally dependent on you as well as not being emotionally dependent on them. And the only way to break that cycle is to fill your own cup. Love the parts of yourself that you were needing them to love. Now you love them. And then this is also saying the person you're asking about is trustworthy. This is your soul's view. Okay, so if there was a question about a person, there were a few people in this reading. Thank you for helping me have faith so I can open my heart wider in my relationships. I am grateful for your protection, assuring that only trustworthy people are in my life. Now, we've already acknowledged that there were some people that may not be trustworthy, but this is showing that you know the difference. You feel it. Now, if you can't feel it, let yourself get into the feminine energy, because the feminine energy feels it. Receive the energy, feel how it feels in your body, and you'll know which is trustworthy and which is not. Okay? Yeah. When you created this situation, you also created something you wanted to learn from it. So maybe you needed to learn this way to navigate through feeling and trusting in your body, right? Remember we got raising your standards. That's part of your self-care that you're utilizing and going through now. So in order to raise your standards for your self-care, you first had to know what you don't want. So none of it's wrong, that you've experienced already. Let's look at the encouragement cards. We have, my attention to lack of attracts more lack of to me. And I think that's why you've been I think you know that. That's why you've been focusing on what you prefer. I think you've got that down. So this is encouraging you that you haven't done wrong there. That's a great piece of the puzzle that you need. It says, from your place of lack, you attract more lack. And that is why most diets do not work. You are aware of your fat. And so you then say, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff that I do not want. And yet your attention is given to the stuff that you do not want. And so you hold on to it. The way you get to where you want to be is to give your full attention to what you do want, not to give your attention to what you do not want. This is encouragement talking about the way that you've been handling and talking to yourself with the affirmations. Now, if you've been in a situation where you were having negative thoughts and victim mentality and anxiety, this may have been what you needed to motivate you to talk to yourself nicer, right? Now, when we're talking about focusing on the things that you need to heal and giving love to those things, that's a separate thing. It's like you take the time, because you might need to, focus on something that wasn't pleasant in the moments that you're trying to rescue that little inner child that's still experiencing those things, right? And then the rest of the time you go back to focusing on what you prefer. They're two separate things that you're going to do. So I wanted to explain why that's a contradictory thing there, And then we have, I am entrusted with the gifts of God. And this is from the Course in Miracles. So sometimes this is something that we need to meditate on deeply. And if you, believe in God or not, it's what God is to you. I say God is the universe. And this says you can wait, delay, paralyze yourself, or reduce your creativity almost to nothing. But you cannot abolish it. Wow. I just love it. It's like literally the epitome of what we've been talking about here. And this is the encouragement card, so it's just assuring you, like, nothing's gone wrong here. Even if you're delayed and withdrawn and hermit and not shining your light, it's all good, because it's never going to go out. Your light's not going to go out. Let's get your advice cards. Advice, links, discernment. Look beyond immediate appearances. So as you know, the people that are not respecting you, they can appear to be respecting you. That's why you're using your sensor in your body and your receptive feminine energy to feel out if that's the case. There's something here unseen and unknown, and we did acknowledge that before with the wild card that we got. Meaning there's a mystery, there's something unknown here. Okay? So someone may be keeping secrets from you, and you've had like an inkling or a feeling, right? So sometimes the person you've been asking about is trustworthy is yourself, Like when you're questioning yourself, can I trust it, Yeah. Lion, courage. The rain is so cleansing, can you hear it? Ask for what you want. Have the courage to ask for what you do want. When you ask the people in your life what you want, you know by their reaction kind of where you stand, right, with them. Ask the universe, ask your ancestors, ask your inner child, what do you want? Ask your body, what do you want? Then we've got, my thoughts lead me in the direction of healing, prosperity, connection, and grace-filled experiences. Beautiful. So it's letting yourself tell that new story. I transform my life by transforming the space in which I live and work. So making room, letting go of things that no longer serve you, and organizing, neatening, cleaning up the space that you live in, your car, your work, translates for you, you know, and it makes you feel fresh and new, and it's a small step that you can take to get yourself going in that direction. I am focused, organized, and easily able to honor the priorities that need my attention. So that's the second card about organization. So maybe you have a little bit of chaos going on in your life. We did talk about that. That's the space of creation. Maybe you've inspired yourself to realize that you're a very excellent organizer. Maybe not. We'll see. Maybe it means you've inspired yourself to ask for help with organizing, right? It says worry is a wasted emotion. The other thing, the saying that I like is worry is a prayer for what you don't want. Okay? So it's just, the advice is to, you know, if you're going to let go of things, that's one of the things to let go of. Then we've got, you know, your hopes and dreams. Focus on your hopes and dreams. That's good. You got that in the right direction, right? And don't give up on that, or the friendships that are good for you. 11th house is also friendships. Compromise. Interesting. As an advice card, I mean, I don't usually recommend compromise, right? But maybe there is a situation where you, in order to respect yourself, you're going to need to compromise. Maybe you're going to need to compromise with somebody else, something that you've been expecting of them. Is there something where you can create the win-win-win for all, you know? It doesn't mean self-sacrifice. That's not what compromise is. It may be that you're compromising something you decided before. Failure is part of success. I love this for you. Yeah, because it seemed like you thought that that was what was going on, and you were kind of in a place where you were beating yourself up a little bit, maybe. And it's saying like that was part of it. We've already said that before. Chiron is the wounded healer. Yeah, and it feels like that's the journey you're on. You know, the mythology about Chiron is he could heal everybody else, but not himself, but he really did become an expert at tending to that wound. So all of this tending to self and the whole process of dealing with shadow of yourself and others, learning to give and receive, learning to trust yourself and feel, you know, the way. It all, and being organized, all makes it easier to handle any wound that you're carrying. Any wound that feels like it's just not ready to heal yet. And by the way, you know, Chiron is just a part of our experience. It's like we can heal fully. We really can. Like there'll always be something to grow and learn through, but we can grow and learn through it, you know? There's nothing that necessarily has to stick with you for life when you do your inner work. And this is what it's saying. Do your inner work. Go to that inner child, that inner part of you that is screaming out for your attention, and give it the presence that it needs. Let go of what's no longer serving you. Really let go. Let go of trying to control a situation where you needed your way. Like maybe you don't need your way. Maybe you're compromising with this highest self version of you. Maybe it's not another person at all. Honoring your emotions and the unknown. Okay, there are unknown factors here. Sometimes we won't step into a situation if we understand, or we think we understand everything about it. So I feel like sometimes in our journey we're kept in the dark on certain things because we have agreed from a soul level to experience it. So the moon and the unknown and all that is kind of part of it. It's like showing you that all the skills that you have learned up to this point have prepared you for what's to come. And like you've handled everything before, you will handle this too. Okay? Whew. Very nice, pile 3. The last thing we have to look at is your answer. And so if you want to think of a question, you can pause the video if you need some more time to pose your question. And this is just from my answers deck. So if it's a yes or no question and you don't get a yes or no answer, you'll have to use your own intuition, your own guidance and knowing to figure out what this answer means for you. If it's a question that requires more than a yes or no, but you get a yes or no, you'll have to use your own intuition to know what that means for you. So let's just take a look at what your answers are. Oh wow. This is very interesting. It's like, it says, let go with love and make a commitment. You know, what are you committing to? Can you commit to yourself in a way? Or is there something that you need to commit to? Now, you can even commit to, like, I'm going to commit to lighting my sage after this reading. And then, like, as long as you do it, you're building a foundation that's solid. And building trust within yourself that you know you're going to follow through where you need to. So the importance of making a commitment is bigger than that. It's important. So if you can't make a big commitment, make a small one and just follow through and keep doing that throughout the day. I commit to drinking this water and then drink it. It's like, make sure whatever you're committing to, you follow through on. And then let go with love. I feel like that's pretty obvious here because there was definitely someone, at least one person in your life, maybe more, that were just like disrespecting you, maybe in a way that's kind of hidden, maybe in a way that all your ancestors had already always put up with throughout time, and so it seems normal to you. But like, letting go with love means that you expect the best for that person. You're not letting go with revenge. You're not letting go with anger. You're letting go because it's the win-win-win for everyone. Because if there is dependency, like emotional dependency, and people getting their worth from others, whether it's you getting your worth from another, or them trying to get their worth from you, to enable that situation isn't allowing the win-win-win. Sometimes we have to let people go so that they can understand that they're strong enough to do it on their own too. But you do have help, you know, and that means they will have help too. There'll be someone. Now, some people are very pessimistic and don't think there's any help for them, and if they think that, then that's probably the case. But that probably also means that their soul is setting them up to learn their strength through having to do it on their own. You know? Like, we don't know what their soul lesson is. We don't have to take the pressures of their everything onto us, right? Maybe you can compromise your way out of a situation that was difficult, right? But definitely honoring the win-win-win. I win, you win, we all win. As long as you follow those guidelines, you'll be okay. So you can decide better, you know, what those answers mean to you, but those were just the thoughts that came in relation to this reading. Okay? Wow, pick 3. Thank you so much for doing this work. It's such honorable work. I really appreciate that you're here doing it on Earth at this time. And thank you for spending your time with me. And, you know, maybe we'll see you next time.